I'd like to pay tribute to our outgoing Senate President, our outgoing Majority Leader, our outgoing Senate President Pro Temp, and the leadership team who was a very productive. I think there's no reason, of course, emotions may dictate that they bow their heads, but there's no reason to bow their heads. Talagang, I think, when all is said and done, when history is written, wala silang ikakahiya. They stood on the right side of history. I think when this institution was under threat, pinaglaban ni Senate President SUBIRI ang ating institusyon, pinaglaban niya ang ating taong bayan dun sa mga gustong solohin ang kapangyarihan.
I just be allowed to make a very short manifestation.
The Majority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva, is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. Let me start by saying, Madam President, na kulang po ang salita upang ipaabot ang taus-puso nating pasasalamat sa ating inspirational leader, ating naging Senate President MIGZ SUBIRI. Maraming salamat, SP MIGZ. Maraming salamat. Madam President, anuman po ang ating politikal na paniniwala, saan man po tayong grupo nakabilang o napapabilang, sa bandang huli, isa lang po ang ating pinipili, ang ating minamahal na Pilipinas. Being part of the leadership, Madam President, carries a cost, requiring leaders to be ready to consistently make sacrifices, prioritizing the interests of their organization, institution, or even their country above their own self-interest. And so today, Madam President, I tender my resignation because the greater cause outweighs my personal interest. Maraming salamat po, Madam President.
Thank you very much, our Majority Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva. We thank you for your service to the institution and your service to the nation.
Thank you. Madam President, thank you. Madam President, may I move that we recognize Senator Nancy Binay?
Senator Nancy Binay is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. I would just like to manifest that I'm also resigning as chairperson of the Committee on Accounts and Tourism and Ethics. Thank you, Madam President.
We take note of the manifestation of Senator Nancy Binay. We thank you for your dedication to duty as well.
Madam President, Senator Sonny Angara is also seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized.
We recognize Senator Sonny Angara, Chairman of the Committee on Finance.
Thank you to the beauteous presiding officer, Majority Leader. I'd like to pay tribute to our outgoing Senate President, our outgoing Majority Leader, our outgoing Senate President Pro Temp, and the leadership team who was a very productive. I think there's no reason, of course, emotions may dictate that they bow their heads, but there's no reason to bow their heads. Talagang, I think, when all is said and done, when history is written, wala silang ikakahiya. They stood on the right side of history. I think when this institution was under threat, pinaglaban ni Senate President SUBIRI ang ating institusyon, pinaglaban niya ang ating taong bayan dun sa mga gustong solohin ang kapangyarihan. To our Majority Leader, thank you for being here day in, day out, late, along with Senator JV's team. To you, it's a very productive team, so I just want to thank. But at the same time, I'd like to also tender my resignation as the chairperson of the Committee on Finance, the chairperson of the Committee on Youth, and the chairperson of the Subcommittee on Constitutional Amendments, in order to give the new leadership a free hand to choose who they wish to fill up these positions. And I thank our colleagues for the chance to serve them for the last 5 years as the chairperson of the Committee on Finance. I think we achieved real progress together, and I think if at all I was able to empower you to fulfill or to realize your advocacies. I think yun ang masasabi po natin. And I wish the incoming chairperson, Senator Grace Poe, is a great senator, great, very hardworking, the best on the job. She's definitely up to it, and of course to the new leadership, Senate President Chiz Escudero, I wish you and your team the best, sir. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you po.
We would like to thank Senator Sonny Angara for his brilliance, his fairness, his dedication to duty as chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance, a post I held before him. Thank you so much, Senator Sonny. We appreciate the work you've done.
Madam President,
Majority
Senator
Leader.
JV Ejercito, our Deputy Majority Leader is seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized, Madam President.
Our
Thank you.
Deputy Majority Leader, Senator J.V. Ejercito, is recognized.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I'd like to thank the Senate President Juan Miguel Subiri for the trust and confidence. Majority Leader Joel Villanueva, of course, Madam President, the Senate leadership for entrusting me to become the Deputy Majority Leader for the past 2 years. And all I can say is that I'm very proud to be part of this team under the leadership of President MIGZ Subiri. One thing is for sure, this team is principled, hardworking, and this team fought for the institution. And those countless nights, evenings, especially during the budget hearings, will always have a mark in my history. And again, I would like to resign, of course, to give the new leadership a free hand in reorganizing the Senate leadership. But again, I would like to say that I will always be proud to be part of this institution and proud to have been part of the leadership under Senate President MIGZ, who really was a very productive team. And thank you very much also to the Senate staff for your cooperation in that at the times that we were on the floor. Again, to the new leadership of under Senator Chiz, good luck to their team, and you can always count on us to be there, no, as a center of the Republic. Mabuhay po kayo lahat.
Thank you very much to our hardworking Deputy Majority Leader.
Thank you very
Senator
much,
JV.
Madam President. Madam President, at this juncture, may I move that we recognize the distinguished gentleman from City of Taguig and Pateros, no other than Senator Alan Peter Cayetano.
Senator Alan Peter Cayetano is recognized.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Thank you, Presiding Officer, our Senate President Pro Tem. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Yan po ang nasa Jeremiah 29:11. At maging Kristiyano, Hudyo, Muslim, ay nirerespeto si Jeremiah bilang isang propeta. At kahit naman hindi naging isang prophetic word to, kung ang ina at ama ay mahal ang kanilang anak, ano pa kaya ang Diyos na naglikha sa atin? But if you look at the verse, I have plans for you. Plans are based on a vision, and plans become vision depending on the choices you make, and choices are defined by priorities. I am sure that all of us articulate it in a different way, but we try to honor God, build communities, and transform this nation. Sa diwang yan, as I stand to nominate a person that I believe should be our next Senate President, I would like to nominate him and give thanks to Senator Subiri in my own personal way. In 1998, excited, konting kaba, o maraming kaba, with pride as the youngest member of the 11th Congress, I walked into the Batasang Pambansa at a historic moment where the first batch elected under the 1987 Constitution graduated, and the first batch with the most number of neophytes took office. That is where I met Miguel Subiri and where I met Chiz Escudero. So first, I think the gratitude is shared not only by those who have supported the leadership and continue to want Senator Subiri to be the Senate President. I think tayo naman po lahat ay nagpapasalamat. So in behalf of everyone, Senate President Subiri, maraming salamat. We are all we all have gratitude in our heart for the service that you've given. Siguro we can give him a hand. I know it's against the rules, pero So in 1998, even then, MIGZ SUBIRI was much more fashionable than Chiz Escudero. Maybe now, they're both fashionable. Thank you, MIGZ, to your beautiful wife who's not only caring, who's not only supported you, who's not only raised your children, but made sure that you are fashionable. So we'd also like to thank her for sharing you with us these last 2 years. Thank you very much. So in 1998, Chiz had thick glasses, did not smile, was the illustrious son of an illustrious father. Everyone knew the Minister of Agriculture. He had more fashion than Chiz noon. Makikita mo lahat ng barong niya may red, blue, and white. And yung isang legacy nung tatay niya was Chiz wanted to enter politics earlier than 1998. Pero his father, very much like Senator Pia's father, believed in education. Yun ang nabasa ko sa dyaryo, but later on I found out yung nanay din pala. Yung nanay was also there telling then Congressman Escudero, when he was yet law student Escudero, when he was yet attorney Escudero, you cannot enter politics unless you prepare. So all of his previous attempts at different positions from the local government, hindi siya pinayagan until his parents believed na hinug na yung panahon. And in 1998, his career started. Hindi ko na po isa-isahin dahil napakahaba pa ho ng oras from 1998 to ngayon na 2024 na. But I'd like to mention that when we say prepare, obviously I did not support him in 2016 because I was running against him. If you look at history, there were times that 101% ang support ako kay Senator Escudero, like when he was minority leader in the many battles, impeachments, fight against unjust taxes, etc. But if you look at history, marami din sa atin, and this is not only kay Senator Escudero, even with Senate President SUBIRI, there were times na buong-buo yung suporta, there were times na hindi kami magkapanig, may time na nagdidebate, sometimes you even lose your cool, but the friendship and relationship remained. So what I am trying to say is that ang kulang na lang kay Chiz noon para sabihin nating handa siya sa third highest position sa ating bansa, na handa siya na i-lead ang 24 senador, is probably executive experience. Kasi from 3 terms sa Kongreso, pangatlong term na rin ito bilang senador, lahat na pinagdaanan niya, judicial, quasi-judicial, administrative, legislative, ang kulang lang talaga po niya, executive experience. But of course, as a lawyer, and in between his other jobs, he had a lot of leadership experience. But as governor of Sorsogon, and he reminds people it is not as rich as the top 5 richest cities or top 5 richest province in the country. But yet, if you take a look at a short 3 years, again, hindi ko papakabaan, pero napakarami pong accomplishments, napakarami pong ginawa. And the hope I have is that whatever hindered him in doing more in the province of Sorsogon, he will address that as Senate President. For example, the bureaucracy, lahat na lang kailangan mayor, governor, pirmahin. Parating pagka magdadagdag ng tax, national, yung local, gustong bawasan. So forth and so on. No? So I just ask people, if you're watching now, i-google nyo na lang si Chiz Escudero. Kung hindi kayo naniniwala sa akin, i-google nyo yung picture niya noong 1998 at i-google nyo. So we have a very passionate leader. We have a very fashionate leader. But we also have a very prepared leader kung magkakaisa tayo at sana po'y magkaisa tayo. So Madam Senate President, Madam Chair, may I, with all humility but with pride, nominate someone I respect, I admire, and look forward to. I look forward to him being our leader, and I look forward that I will be able to contribute and do my part. May I respectfully and humbly nominate Francis Chiz Escudero as Senate President this afternoon. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. We take note of your nomination of Senate President Francis Chiz Escudero. May I hear from the Deputy Majority Leader, Mark Villar? Yes, may I hear the motion of the Acting Majority Leader?
I move to recognize Senator Jingo Estrada.
Can you please speak louder?
Sorry, I move to
Yes.
recognize Senator Jingo Estrada.
Is that another motion for
I
nomination?
move that we close the period of nomination, Madam
Yes.
President.
We take note of the nomination. Thank you. And the period of nomination for the Senate President is now closed. Hearing no objection, hearing none, the motion for nomination of the Senate President of the Philippine Senate is now closed. May we hear a motion from the Acting Majority Leader, Senator Mark Villar?
With the permission of Senator Villar, since there are no objections and there's only one candidate, I move that we elect Senator Escudero by acclamation and that the chair bang the gavel symboling that we elect Senator Escudero as our new Senate President. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any objections? Hearing none. The election of Senate President Francis Chiz Escudero is hereby recognized. Congratulations, Senator Francis Chiz Escudero.
Madam Chair, may I ask for a minute suspension so that we can prepare and Senator Escudero, may we ask and request Senator Escudero to take his oath as Senate President.
Session is suspended. Just to remind the body, this representation has not yet tendered her resignation unless you want to keep me, but I have a prepared resignation as well. So I intend to go down and deliver my resignation as well, unless you want to keep me here. I appreciate
Senate
his not
President.
wanting
Thank
to
you.
replace me, but I have a prepared resignation, and I appreciate your statement.
Thank you.
Session is suspended.